things that you can check out and hopefully find very informative. One of the things I'd like to do is share a screen here with you. I hope you can read it. This is currently the website as it stands today. One of the great articles is about California Fire District is leveraging FirstNet and Harris's Beyond Push to Talk. This is Mono County, California, one of the more rural parts of California. They have a lot of tourist traffic. They've got high risk of wildland fire. So they had a very specific need. So if you're in the West and have a lot of issues like that, you might want to check out that article. Andy Siebold this week is talking about LMR and migration to FirstNet. That's another great article there by Andy. We've got some additional news on cell towers from AT&T. And again, our statistics as they show on here for the network have been updated. One of the things I do want to highlight today is our grant section. All things FirstNet, we offer grant support to public safety agencies trying to acquire FirstNet technology and applying for grants. On this section here, if you go to the tab that says grants, you'll go to the grants page, which talks about the services, talks about the grants. There's a lot of grant information on here about the current public assistance grant that's out there. For those of you who don't know, because of the federally declared disaster, there is a declaration which includes public assistance funding to state and local governments. It's not a traditional grant like you would expect from the Homeland Security Grant Program or Fire Act or for a number of the others. This is specifically to disaster relief. Typically, you see this grant come up when it's tied to a hurricane, flood, tornado, but this is now nationwide because every state has a declared disaster with this pandemic. It applies nationally. It helps to reimburse local governments for expenditures made while responding to the disaster and helps them acquire resources to respond and recover from that disaster. And those resources can be everything from PPEs to technology, such as a smart device that if you had a need that you can demonstrate to the feds and to your state emergency management office that you had a need to photograph everybody coming to do COVID testing, coming into a shelter, you can then potentially be eligible for funding under the disaster grant. The other thing that happened with the CARES Act was additional funding for many of these grants. As you'll see on here, we have the Homeland Security Grant, Justice. So that additional funding is there. It's probably not been programmed yet. So a good time for you to talk to your states about, gee, if you're going to get extra money in these grant funds, what is it going to get spent on? The other part I'd like to point out is we do a number of webinars directly related to grants. And if you'll notice down here at the bottom of the website, we have a link for a webinar coming up here tomorrow, specifically for public assistance and the CARES Act as it relates to tribal nations. Tribal nations are very unique, obviously, because they are independent nations. So we're going to talk about helping them through this. We then have our upcoming events, which is a good place to find what's new and coming up in the near future. We have our Twitter feed over on the left, which shows new videos and new topics. So feel free to check us out. One other thing I want to share with you, this is probably the best, it's a commercial, but it's the best commercial that FirstNet Build with AT&T has done. So I'd like to give you a look and feel for how this commercial is.
You're first to respond, first to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first, that connects you to technology and each other, that's built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only officially authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
One of the things that I would like to point out to everybody is that in that video, you just don't see your typical police, fire, EMS. You also see hospital staff, doctors, nurses. One of the things that people tend to lose sight of is that these people are first responders also. They are not the traditional first responders, as in they're not out there every day, and that obviously has changed during this pandemic. But they tend to get overlooked. These people are basically saving the planet, providing a lot of resources, time, energy, risking their lives day to day, treating patients and helping to overcome this pandemic. So hats off and a big thank you to our medical community and all those who are working very close with those infected patients and risking their safety to protect us. So that's what's new for this week. Please check us out on the website. We are www.allthingsfirstnet.com. Again, www.allthingsfirstnet.com. And we're here to serve the public safety community and bring them information on FirstNet and how it can be used in your community to help protect your citizens and your first responders. Thank you very much. We hope you found this informative.